And we're live in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Hi guys, and welcome to Rising Star. This is the part 2 of the interview with a fabulous empathy test. And guys, it's really, as I say, it's really a pleasure to be here and to chat with you. But I want to pick up on where we ended part 1, where we were talking about you had problems with the monitor mix. And Adam, you were saying that looking at it from a third, sort of watching the band, Chrissy looked really annoyed, and that anger because she... And I understand this as because I'm a musician and a producer as well, and there's an element to us, we can't really enjoy a live performance. We can't really let ourselves go because we're always thinking, how's this sounding and everything. So I know exactly how you're feeling. You're standing there and you're going, this sounds crap, and you're really... But from that anger, you managed to give one of your best performances ever. And then Adam was saying you wanted to capture that. Yeah. So I said, well, we should probably just mess with their monitors and just make them angry. Yeah. So how did that sort of reaction, the way they performed, inspire you to almost take the music in a different direction or to harness that aggression? Or
well, it's actually it's a mix of things. So when I saw it, I immediately thought, well, this is a way to bring something extra to it. And so there were two very kind of separate ways of working. So we had what we did in the studio, how we mixed the album, which is mostly what I did, and then I'd hand that to Chrissy and the band. Okay. And then she would then take over and work the live thing.
So Chrissy really... So you're kind of like studio, and then Chrissy will take it, and it's up to you to sort of figure out how that is interpreted live, but also how you guys perform technically. Yeah. And everything.
Yeah. So like Adam will give me the parts that I need, and then I'll chop up like the parts that I need. Like take out stuff for Ollie, so he'll take over parts.
I see. Yeah.
And sometimes I make different arrangements for live, just so it's a little bit more interesting, and so we can transition into different things. But yeah, I get all my stuff once Adam's finished with a track. Yeah. He sends everything to me, and then I'll go like, okay, how are we going to perform this live?
I have to admit, like at the very beginning, we were slightly.
Dubious, nervous?
Yeah, because Chrissy, you were like 22 when you joined.
Yeah, 22 or 21.
Yeah, we judged her slightly because we were looking at Ableton for the live thing, and actually neither of us really knew how to use Ableton, and we were really worried about how we had no idea how we were going to give everyone a click or whoever needed it a click. Sure. And we were looking to the male keyboard player we had at the time, Jacob, so how do you do a click? And just kind of like overlooked Chrissy, and then Chrissy was like, oh, I know how to do it. Right. We were like, oh, cool. And then she got on the laptop and was like, yeah, done. Okay. And we were like, well, that's it.
Yeah. Well, if you don't ask, you don't get.
Yeah. And so, really, kind of from that point, it was like,
you realise,
Chrissy, so how are we going to do this?
Well, I think just Chrissy just took charge of it, basically. So anything that needed doing, she just thought, oh, well, let's do it like this. And we were like, oh, okay, great.
So what's just popped into my head here, guys, and you see this on the fly. I think we're going to continue with this great discussion, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to interview each of you individually, which will be quite a very interesting thing, and of course then on the Geek Talk as well. But let's getting back onto the live shows now. Now, actually, here's a question for you, Adam. What made you not want to tour anymore? Is it just not your thing?
Well, it's a mix of things. Well,
it was me.
Is it you? Okay. Is this a sore point?
No. I mean, I really enjoyed doing the gigs that we did, and
in London.
Well, I know, and when we did go abroad,
Copenhagen,
it was great, Sweden, and I really, I enjoyed it. But it's a hard, time-consuming process, and also I would say out of everyone here, I'm the least. I wouldn't call myself a performer.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I'd call myself a musician, producer, composer, whatever.
You've got a vibe about you,
right?
You know, which is it's not a good thing or a bad thing. It just is. I can see you as the producer.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I knew that, you know, I'm not naturally a performer, so I don't know how much I can bring to the to the live thing. So rather than me being there, we could get people who are very good at that, doing that part. Also, because I'm an illustrator as well.
Yes.
So, like, you know, I spend a lot of time, you know, producing and doing artwork. And I was trying to think of how I could, you know, I try and do more than I have time for anyway.
Sure.
And I was like, how can I also include doing tours which may go on for a month?
Exactly.
Whilst being a full-time artist, illustrator. So I was just like, well, as it's not my forte anyway, it may just make more sense if we have a band that knows what they're doing, and I can produce and do the thing that I really enjoy doing. So, you know, the band can be touring and I can be here producing, making more music, you know, or whatever.
Well, that's how it's supposed to work.
Yeah. That's how it's supposed to be.
Yeah. And then I come back and go, so how's the album coming? I haven't actually done anything.
But anyway, that's the idea.
I think that was a really important step for the band as well, and I think it's a step that a lot of bands trip up on, because you'll find that there is one person in the band who touring is not for them.
Sure.
Like, you know, sleeping in a coffin-sized bunk every night for 6 weeks in America.
Tall as well,
It's really grueling and it's really hard work, and you've got to really love performing.
Exactly.
In order to put yourself through that. I think a lot of people, you know, obviously a lot of partying does go on tour. People see it as this glamorous.
It's not. It's hotels and buses. Yeah, it's not glamorous.
It's far from glamorous, and it's really hard work. And a lot of bands, if the singer doesn't like touring, you know, that can be the end of a band.
You like touring?
Yeah, I love it. You know, if an integral member of the band doesn't like touring, that can be the end of the band. And luckily, in this case, we've found a way of basically carrying on with the people that like touring, and the people that don't still being an integral part of the band.
This reminds me of an interview with Orchestral Maneuvers of the Dark, OMD. I think they also talked about, I think around about after 1988 when they were supporting Depeche Mode at the Rose Bowl, Pasadena, I think Andy McCluskey, who's the lead singer, and then there's Paul Humphreys, who just decided he can't do this anymore. He wanted to stay home and write songs, and that was kind of what fragmented the band. So what I'm getting from you guys here is a really sort of grown-up, mature kind of, honestly, just a really sensible way of approaching things. Because if we look at, and I see this a lot with musicians these days, you know, I think these days musicians can't be as arrogant as they used to be. You know, it used to be the rock and roll and the...
There's no money in it.
There's no money in it. And I find a lot of musicians these days are a lot more humble, they're a lot more thoughtful, and there's this, you know, talking about caring for the environment and stuff. I mean, before it was like, yeah, man, girls. So it's really just refreshing to see that, you know, we're moving into a different time.
Yeah. If we trash our hotel room, then we've got to then pay for it. So,
exactly.
And as we don't
You're
have
so
any
rock
money,
and roll,
yeah.
Isaac.
You know,
I love it.
I could trash this hotel room, but I can't afford to. That's the music industry now.
TV out the window.
Yeah.
Listen, guys, let's talk about your fans. Who is your fan? Who's your average fan? Ollie, let's wake up. Wake up, young man. As I say, I'm going to do like a little separate interview.
Well, this is quite good because he's new, so he's been thrown into it.
He's the new boy. So, okay, so we'll call you
new boy.
New boy.
Kid on the block.
So what was the question I asked? Oh, yes. So your fans. Okay, actually, here's a question. So Ollie is a stalker.
Hang on.
He used to be a fan. Guys, don't take this out of context.
I see you made a keyboard player.
No. Okay, this is the problem when if someone just starts the video there. Ollie's a stalker. Watch this video in context. Ollie was a fan, is that right?
Yeah, I mean, I like the music.
He liked the music.
It wasn't
a
like
stalker.
I wasn't there like liking all of Isaac Howlett's fiction.
Well, he liked the band, and now he's part of the band.
Yeah.
So, tell us about that story. How you joined the band and...
Well, I mean, it kind of came from a message I sent to Isaac on Facebook.
Stalker!
I was
like, who's
stalking
this
the
guy?
band, and I was like, okay, yeah. And then for some reason just decided to message Isaac saying, oh, do you need a keyboard player?
Well, no, you didn't even say that, to be
Did I
fair.
not?
You know, you
I always
were way
tell
more
the-
subtle.
I always tell the story wrong.
Oh, right.
You always tell it.
Well, no, he just sent me a message saying I've been listening to Empathy Test on Spotify, and I really like what you're doing. And it was me who was actually more of a stalker, because I was like,
He's the stalker.
I always
hang
think that
on.
I asked.
Hang on, who is this guy? So I went and had a look at his profile, and I saw him playing guitar here and playing keys there, and I was like, you know, this, like, and we just lost our keyboard player Sam, who had enough touring, and so yeah, we had someone for America, but that was just for America, and then I was like, you don't happen to play keyboards, do you? And he was like, yeah, I do. Why do you need a keyboard player? And I was like, yeah. And then
And you asked me some interesting questions like,
Oh, how tall
how tall
are you?
are you?
Oh, is that important?
Yeah.
So-
Oh yeah. We're like, apart from Adam, we're quite a short band.
so you want to be all
Small.
the same size?
Yeah. So that
Oh, they're so, what's it, tallest or sizes?
yeah, we hate tall. No, I mean, like, you know, I always like find like Placebo a really weird like thing live, because you've got Brian Molko, he's really small, and then you've got the bass player. Does anyone know his name? Sorry, Steve. Who's like a giant, and it's like a really weird thing. I mean, you know, it works for them, but we interviewed a drummer like before Chrissy, and we turned up and he was a giant, and I was just like, like, no,
the photos,
no.
it looks wrong. Because and it's quite funny because, as I say, if everything's a reference point, so if the three of you are on a photo together, people have got no real sort of perception of how tall you are until they meet you. And go, they're
you just make the tall
band.
people stand really far away.
see.
But I asked Ollie like how tall he was, and he was like, "Oh,
I can put heels on.
He was like, "Oh, I'm quite short," and I was like, "Great, perfect." And then he was like, "I'm also really skinny," and I was like, "Great, yeah, you'll fit in."
If you're a tall person, you can still buy their records. They're not against tall people.
Yeah, we like them.
Coming back to the question I asked earlier,
Fans?
What is an empathy test fan like? I mean, what's the average age?
I think they're just quite friendly people, you know. It's
like yourself.
quite nice to talk to them after the show. I immediately thought of the Sauls when they got asked that
Yeah,
question.
same actually.
Just,
They'll be
I think they're quite devoted fans.
We got into the interview.
It's like a quite hardcore.
Exactly.
Like, people kind of go to a lot of shows.
Yeah.
It's quite amazing actually.
I always find that, and I've seen this in so many, there's so many examples, is that bands always seem to attract the kind of people that they are. Not always, but it is
obsessive.
And let me tell you something, because my channel, we fundamentally are focused on keyboards, synthesizers and pianos, that kind of thing. I've always found the electronic music fan is often a very sort of thoughtful, quite sensitive. Like if you look at like music like Depeche Mode, which is really dark, or even like Nine Inch Nails and that, the gigs are quite. Like, you know, we talk about the goths, they're the most gentle people. But I always find that electronic music does seem to attract a very, I'll just say an intelligent, a more thoughtful, decent type of human being. And it's, if you go to, and I'm not going to mention names now, but there are certain gigs you go to, and there's armed security, and there's like airport style, but then there are other bands you go to, like yourselves. I haven't been to one of your gigs, but I'm waiting for an invite. And you know, it's just a nice crowd. So anyway, so I asked the question, but I'm answering the question now. But I want to know from you, what is your? Would you say your average fan is usually, as you said, it's kind of people you could be friends with. It's you're attracting the people that are kind of like on the same.
I've never been able to put my finger on it really. I mean, it's really varied.
Okay.
Like in terms of
Age group? Or?
Yeah, age group,
Okay.
style. Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I'm probably not the best person to ask because I'm the one that's there the least.
I see.
But from what I notice when I go to the gigs, yeah, it's a very kind of diverse
Sure.
set of people.
Right, so yes, Boy George did actually, I saw on Twitter, he actually said something like divine music or something like that, but it was very complimentary.
Yeah.
And I was like, fucking hell, Boy George. I mean, you know, to be fair, and Boy George is, you know, he's a legend, he's an icon.
Yeah.
So it's great for someone like that to say it about you. And this is what I'm hoping from my channel, that, you know, there are a lot of people who follow my channel who are fans of that generation that will come onto you guys, because it's as I say, your music is, even your, okay, let's say when you started out, the music was almost like beyond your years. It's really grown, yeah. And once again, it's not in a condescending kind of way. There are those artists where it's like, boom, sicka, boom, I met this girl in the club, boom, boom, and the bitches go, boom, boom.
Hey, have you been listening to my new album?
But you know what I mean? And I don't want to piss on anyone's heroes here, but what I'm trying to say is, if we listen to the subject matter and stuff, which was what I want to sort of talk about next, it's great. It's inspired. It's thoughtful. Am I coming across as a fanboy here? I probably am, but as I say, I can only get excited about something if I'm excited about it. But coming onto your material now, let's go naturally onto that. Who would sort of write most of the lyrics? Have you, Ollie and Chrissy, have you guys sort of started on the writing process as well? Is it something you will, or is it fundamentally just you two that are writing the songs?
I think it's always going to be my lyrics. I don't know. I mean, never say never.
Oh, okay.
I think yeah.
Yeah, and your lyrics are
quite important that
they're good. They're from the heart.
Yeah.
And, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I basically started writing songs when I was a teenager, and you know, it was all about angst from the very beginning. You know, it was like just a way of getting things off my chest, and I've never shied away from talking about my feelings in songs. It's a lot easier to do a lot of the time, and you know, I've always been quite sort of straightforward, you know, not like hidden things too much. I think a lot of lyricists will make things quite vague and difficult to interpret. Ambiguous.
Are you more literal, sort of?
Yeah. You know, like so I don't shy away from being very frank and direct about it, and I think that has given us a certain kind of fan, to come back to what we were talking before. You know, I get, and I'm sure a lot of bands get this, but I get a lot of very intense messages from fans.
I'm sure,
saying,
because you're resonating with them.
Saying that your music has got me through some really hard times, and it was like you were telling me what I was feeling, telling me what I was feeling at the time. And although our songs are very sad, they're also like full of hope as well. The music is very uplifting.
Absolutely.
So,
this is
so it's cathartic for me, and I think it's cathartic for our fans as well.
Hence the name Empathy Test. How did that come across? Because there is this feeling of, with your music, and why I really love it is it's got heart, and as you say, it's dark and moody and melancholic, but there is this glimmer of hope. It's not like these. Please, I'm going to go off on one now. I went to see Gary Newman many years ago. I'm a massive Gary Newman fan, and there was the support act that came on before the time. And they were just so trying to be dark and mysterious. There was this girl dressed like a big gothic butterfly, and there was this guy dressed like a wizard, you know, and the Simpsons like, and it like he came on as like this, and he's like, "We are the sons and daughters of darkness. Hear us reign." I was just like, get off the fucking stage now.
I think they go down well in Germany. they like theatricality.
So
in
what
Germany.
I'm saying is, coming with you guys is it's just your and your lyrics aren't contrived. It's like you're saying things in the most direct, honest way that people are like, That's how I'm feeling, and that's how I would have said it. So I think that's definitely your writing style.
Yeah. So yeah, I basically write songs, and then I take them to Adam, who then interprets them in his own way, and gives them a kind of a weight and pathos that I used to play them on an acoustic guitar, and he just adds this whole new dimension to it. As we also touched upon before, these guys are now for the first time contributing to the writing, which I think is important, because it's quite easy to run out of ideas even when there's two of you.
Well, that's good, because you've just shown yourself not to be a sort of like a, this is the way it's done, and it makes them feel less like session musos and part of
I mean, up till now there has been a slight sense of that, and it was partly to do with the guys that we had playing keyboards before. No offense to them, but they weren't quite the right people in terms of the music that they were into and the music that they played, and so we never jammed as a band, because
they were clearly like session musos.
Like we said before, this new track Monsters, which is the title track of the new album and has basically inspired the whole sound of the album, was written by the three of us in soundcheck, and then given to Adam to do his thing, and both of us are really happy that is, because Adam was like a bit stuck, what's this difficult third album syndrome, what is this third album going to sound like?
Sure.
And then he's given this iPhone recording from a soundcheck, and it was like that's the thing. And I think going forward, I'm hoping that we actually can work a bit faster, because we're having extra heads,
that's right,
extra influences in the mix, and there'll be less of a disconnect between the studio and the live thing.
Got you, because it's trying to, as I say, Chrissy, you'll probably know this is you're wanting to present your music live, but you don't want to replicate the studio. You want to bring something. Something more to it, but at the same time remain true to the studio recording.
Because I would never. I think I scared maybe Adam and Isaac at the beginning when I said we should get acoustic drums in.
We were like, woo!
Don't want to sound like a rock band or anything.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's not what Empathy Test is.
Exactly.
So I was like, no, I think I can do it quite tastefully. And
I'm going to say something really controversial now. Perhaps you could have a chat with Depeche Mode about their live drumming, because I've been on about this for a long time. I'm sorry, and I've got a lot of people who agree with me, but I have a lot of people who want to bite my head off. They're live drumming at the moment because they're using an acoustic drum, and he's a great drummer. He's probably too good, because he believes he's in AC/DC. He's like, and he's not he doesn't drum drum respectfully to the song. He's kind of like having a drum solo, and that to me is something that is live drums in electronic music. As I say, as far as the visual element is concerned, it's very important because it gives you that, but it has to be done tastefully and right. And you guys are getting it right, so I say.
Chrissy's getting it right.
And we're going to definitely discuss that in the Geek Talk. But let's just talk now. So, Adam, since you've stepped away from the live setup, so how many are you now in the live performance? Are you just you're just the three-piece now? Okay, so you are, and so you were four. And then it was you three, and then so you've stepped away. So Ollie, you've essentially replaced Adam for the live.
I mean, it's a bit more complicated than that, because we've had multiple.
Because I've seen, when I watch your live performance, I'm like, because I recognise you obviously, because you're the only lady there, and you're the singer, and then I go, who's that? And I'm thinking, how many members?
I think a lot of people get confused and think whoever's playing keyboards, Ollie now, is Adam. And they're like, okay, so
I really like what you did on the album. I'm like,
take all the credit. Take all the credit. Take all the credit.
It can be confusing, and you know, like for a lot of people that don't know our history and just come to our shows in Germany, will have no idea who Adam is, and you know, they're like, okay, Empathy Test are these three people that are on the stage.
Yes.
So it can be sometimes difficult to you know, like market the band.
Sure.
But you know, like it's better. It's more important for us that it works. You know.
So in your sort of your promotional photographs now, do you just have the three of you?
Well, we haven't done a new press shot in a very long time.
Okay.
We recently did one because when we were on tour, we did a shoot with the three of us, and we've been using those. But for the album, obviously for sure, it's going to be all four of us. And now, as I say, that these guys are contributing to the studio side of things, and it's crossing over again more. It's going to be slightly easier, because before, it was like me and Adam would be in the press shots for the album, and then people, and then they turn up for a show expecting us to, and then they get us three.
I'm confused.
So going forward, we do need to consolidate it, but Ollie lives in London. We all live in the same city now.
This is good.
Our previous keyboard player Sam lived in Bristol, and so he was never in London, and Adam was never where Sam was, and so it was impossible to be able to have a photo shoot with all of us in it. But now we can. So
guys, this is so interesting. So I'm gonna. I think we should wrap this interview up here, because I want to have little separate interviews with each member now. I think before we end this.
We need to mention Rusty Egan.
Absolutely.
He'll be distraught. If
we are definitely going to mention Rusty Egan. Rusty, can I just say thank you very much for introducing this fabulous band to me. I'm the Invisible Man, as he says here. He is like I call him like, he's like the English Jack Nicholson, isn't he? He's very intense. He's a very passionate man.
Yes.
And you know, he's actually done more for independent artists than most record companies.
And he's got a hell of a lot of energy for an old guy.
He's an old guy. He's 25, I think.
Is he?
No, he's got a hell of a lot of energy, and Rusty, thank you so much for introducing me.
And he also introduced Boy George to our music as well.
That's right. Yeah. No, one thing about Rusty Egan, I think, as he said, he was talking about Ed Sheeran. He said, "You haven't got it," and he is so. One thing about Rusty Egan is, you know, he calls a spade a spade. You know, he calls it what it is, and if he doesn't like it, he'll say it. But if he likes it, he likes it, and this is why I respect that kind of honesty. Guys, your social media. You're on Bandcamp. You're on empathytest.com.
Yeah.
And you're on Facebook. Guys, links to everything about Empathy Test is going to be below in the description. And do yourself a favour, if you're a fan
of...
Subscribe. And of course they've got a YouTube channel. I think you're on about 3,500 subscribers. 6,000. Sorry. 6,500. Anyway, it's not enough.
Not as many as you.
Well, it's not enough. And if I can bring you some subscribers, absolutely. And if I can take some of yours, I'll be grateful too. So all the social media links will be below. Definitely do yourself a favour. If you're a fan of electronic music, this band to me ticks the box. It's the perfect combination between modern electronic, but with heart and
soul.
So guys, Empathy Test. Ollie.
Oh, thank you.
Chris. Adam. Isaac. It's been an absolute pleasure. I'm going to interview you guys individually for the next series. And guys, thank you so much. We'll see you on the next episode.
Bye.